Yeah, if you could record. Okay, super. So today is well, it's the fourth event in this series because one of the events was in person, but it's the third online deep dive, European deep dive. The next economic paradigm. Okay, what are we going to be talking about? Climate urgency, governance, evolution, and the rise of AI. Basically, what we want to bring to you today are social impact highlights from and beyond the World Mobile Congress, and a spotlight on what's been happening in Spain with the project in Catalonia. Um, so basically, just so that there is some kind of introduction to this series, these sessions are tailored to social economy SMEs, but also social economy enabling organizations. And the Do Impact project has been working on enhancing their digital and data-driven capacities. We've had a lot of practical learning and peer exchange sessions, international workshops, and also online deep dives like this. Each deep dive is exploring a specific theme related to digital transition of the social economy ecosystem. And basically, what we've been trying to do is combine like theoretical insights with more like an interactive experience sharing conversation. So this is quite an intimate group, and these deep dives are quite yeah, interactive sessions. So feel free to have your cameras on. You will have an opportunity to engage with the speakers to ask your questions as well. The goal is really to unlock the potential of data and tech for social impact, whether that's also linked to policy influence or inclusive innovation. And Yeah, it's part of the broader Do Impact strategy. And if I continue through the slides, I would like to present today's guest speakers. My name is Aneta Qureshi. I'm a senior expert at the ACES Network, part of the consortium of Do Impact. And today, the guests of the deep dive are Marta Campo, International Relations EU Projects, Taula del Tercer Sector. Marta holds a bachelor degree in journalism from the Autonomous University of Barcelona and a master degrees in marketing and comms management from the Open University of Catalunya. And she's specialized in the social sector through her work and her educational background. She has been in the past working also in the private sector, Fundación Barcelona Comerç and Coreixample, and in the third sector, social organizations as well. Currently, she's responsible for international affairs and European funds at Taula del Tercer Sector, and we're going to hear a bit more about the organization, also a consortium member of Do Impact. With her, Isabel Botey, European Project Manager at Cluster Digital de Catalunya, or the Digital Cluster of Catalunya. Working on EU-funded projects. Previously, she worked at Starlab and the Barcelona Supercomputing Center, so brings a lot of experience linked to digital innovation. We're going to hear from Isabel also around the role of digital clusters, again, a consortium member of Do Impact. And then, last but not least, we have Jean-Marc Claramunt with us, who is a consultant in training in strategic communication and crisis management with an extensive background in analysis, leadership, and narrative for the third sector organizations. He is with us today representing Utopiq. And Utopiq is the organization or the best practice that will be the highlight of today's deep dive. And we all look forward to hearing from Joan a little bit later on. He works with executive teams of social enterprises and entities on crisis simulation, public positioning, and decision-making under pressure. So analytical and practical profile with real-world experience in risk anticipation and really bringing together the tech digital world into this sphere of the social economy, working on the current challenges, this fast moving, shaping, changing world, and making this connection between the social economy sector and the tech sector. So those are our three lovely speakers for today. And as you know, this is the agenda. I'm going to be keeping quite an eye on the time because the hour goes quite fast. We've got the first part, the highlight of one of the locations of the project, in this case, Spain, focus more in the region of Catalunya. And starting with that, without further delay, I would like to ask Isabel and Marta, if you could give a short overview of the local Do Impact digital program that has been and still is taking place in Catalonia, maybe for the participants to understand how you design the content, how do you understand the needs of the social economy SMEs in your region, in your location, and yeah, how have they been, how has this work been helping them strengthen their digital strategies and data-driven practices?
Thank you, Aneta. Isabel, do you want to start?
Yeah, maybe
will.
I can take it from here. Yeah. So first of all, in Catalonia, we are at regional level in the Do Impact project. We are two main organizations, one representing the third sector and one representing the digital sector. In our case, is Taula del Tercer sector and Cluster Digital. And this has been an essential collaboration for the success of this program, representing these two different words and connecting them. And how have we implemented this capacity building program? This capacity building program has been taking place for now over 2 years, and we decided to separate it in 8 local workshops, divided into work cycles, into capsules of four workshops in 2025 and 4 workshops in 2026. And the main core is that the program was not generic training for the beginning, but we needs driving and co-design. So how we started in the Do Impact project, it was with mapping the ecosystem and doing a detailed analysis of the digital maturity of this sector, identifying gaps in areas such as data use, digital tools, skills, or other operational process. And also, in addition, what we have been doing is that after every workshop, we have been identifying new needs in terms of content and format, always trying to design these workshops with the need of the third sector and not only with what we think we can offer. No? So, yeah, as a result, this program has been a structured and practical learning journey. There we have moved step from step by understanding digitalizations to applying in practice. And what has been more effective of what we have seen have been the hands-on approach. So when we share real use cases from social economy organizations using digital tools, when we introduce concrete tools and technologies with hands-on sessions, and yeah, that's it. At the same time, also it has been very useful to have this hybrid format. So half of the local workshops have been in situ and half of them have been online. And at this moment today, we have done 5 workshops, and we have 3 upcoming ones to the next month. That maybe we can also share with you later, because one of them you can still register. But now I can give the word to Marta, so you can give your point of view on this.
Thank you. Thank you, Isabel. Yeah, so also to give you a kind of overview about the system and this collaboration Isabel was mentioning. So Taula del Tercer Sector represents this organized civil society part of the project, and we absolutely needed the clusters support and the digital knowledge of clusters. So this kind of binomic relationships, this symbiotic relationship has been super interesting and super useful for us. So Taula is an umbrella organization here in Catalonia, which represents more than 3,000 organizations that are organized in 37 specialized and specific federations. So we are supporting these federations, and we are what here we state as a third level organization. We have here in Catalonia a multi-level kind of structure regarding the organizations. And what we do at Taula are, we have two main scopes, basically. One is political advocacy, and the second one is the strengthening of the sector, of the social sector, and the innovation. And from here, through our our innovation project, which is called M4 Social, we have been able to identify these needs that Isabel was mentioning. What were those needs and how we linked these local needs to the transnational ideas? Because at the very end, one of the main learnings that this project has given to us is that we have super different situations maybe throughout Europe and throughout the consortium, but at the very end, there are also a lot of needs that are the same. So for us, this need was the need of create an open data space, the need to, and here Utopiq also give us a hand during the last transnational event, but to know more about AI and how can we use it and how can we apply it and how it can be useful for us and our ecosystem. We are super interested in digital divide because we think digital divide is a rights divide. So from our social perspective and from a social justice point of view, this is super, super important and interesting. And this links also to interoperability. If we have data, if we know how to manage and work with this data, and we can go to the administration and say, this is what we need, these are the lags of the system, let's talk through this data, let's put this data in contact. This gives us as well a power to change policies that wasn't given to us before. So this is a way of empowerment of our social sector here in Catalonia. And then another, last but not least, is also all this data use for managing the organization. So CRMs managing, CRMs creation, CRMs communication, CRMs connections, and interoperability as well. One of the main scopes of this project was also to give coherence on our priorities as social sector, and also with the needs that we identified, but having super in mind that we are a very stressed sector because now all the administration are seeking for social participation, civil society engagement, etc., but we don't have big structures to do so. The administration, you know, is a bureaucratic monster, but we are not. So what we try to do on 2025 and we are trying to do in 2026 is to take these needs and to put it within our planned calendar of activities. So we had some events already planned regarding innovation, digitalization, impact measurement, etc. And Do Impact was perfect. So for us, it was amazing to see how tangled our needs and our vision was with Do Impact project, and we think this is very important. And another thing that I wanted to highlight now is the thing that things are moving very fast. The world is changing. I'm not giving new news to you. We all know, we know each other. We have met before. But we think that alliances are key in this scenario. And also Do Impact has given us, from both transnational and local perspective, the possibility to strengthen alliances locally and then to take these alliances and move them, from a transnational point of view, and put all together kind of this network, no, from which we are hoping new initiatives will come. So yeah, that would be a little bit, this overview we wanted to do from Catalonia, Neta.
Thank you, Isabel, and thank you, Marta. It really nicely shows how the outcomes of the Catalan workshops are also expected to feed into like your broader strategies within your organizations and the digital transformation and data adoption efforts, that are happening across the social economy sector. I would say not just in Catalonia, not just in Spain, but definitely across Europe. Isabel, I would be interested also in this consortium, right? We've got social economy organizations, we've got digital clusters. Your organization is a technological cluster. You don't solely work on projects or programs with the social economy sector, yet you are creating connections with the social economy sector. What do you believe is the role of a tech cluster in generating these kind of ecosystem connections with the social economy? And maybe you can also say what the challenges are, or what are the opportunities?
Yes, thank you, Aneta. So first, I can share a little bit what a digital cluster is in case of digital cluster of Catalonia. We are an entity, an association of technological companies and organizations where we bring together, in our case, around 100 organizations with this strong expertise in digital solutions. And as I was saying before, I believe that connecting an organization like this, like a digital cluster, with all these associations, with the social sector, in our case, Taula del Tercer sector in Catalunya, has been a key success of this project. The Taula brings direct access, deep knowledge, and most importantly, trust within the Tercer sector, something that the tech ecosystem alone, I believe, we cannot achieve. So this collaboration has allowed us to effectively connect these both worlds. No, in one side, the technological capabilities from our cluster members, and on the other side, really, the real needs of the social economy organizations. So yeah, I do believe that this collaboration has been a key role of the project, because if not, I think that the technical sector is far from understanding the needs of the third sector. No.
Mm-hmm.
So without this bridge, many collaboration opportunities or many workshops that we have done in this program wouldn't happen. So with it, we do ensure that technological is not only developed by the technological entities, but that we actually apply it where it's needed, in this case, in real social impact.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Isabel. And actually that connects perfectly with our fireside chat today. It's kind of the next block where I invite us, Isabel, Marta, and Joan, to have a conversation together. I've got some questions. The audience is welcome to also come in and join this conversation, so please feel free to. But one thing we wanted to talk about and highlight during today's deep dive is exactly this. Often social economy entities, social enterprises, enabling organizations, the whole ecosystem, right, made up of different kinds of actors, is trying to make sure that some values are embedded in the work we're doing, in the services we're delivering, in the projects we're running. And I believe that this important message of actually taking the main stage and being part of the normal economy, so to speak, the economy that doesn't label itself as social economy, is key for these organizations to actually be effective and to have real world impact. Last month in Barcelona, the project came together and also actually participated in the Mobile World Congress. The Do Impact workshop actually also with Taula del Tercer Sector took the main stage within a space dedicated to health and society within the 4 Years for Now Mobile World Congress Pavilion. This was an integrated event into the whole event that was taking place in Barcelona, and also the Mobile World Capital Foundation booth within the Mobile World Congress main stage. So it was kind of, I don't want to call it a side event, but the 4 Years from Now is a side event, but well integrated into the Mobile World Congress. And the social economy took stage both there and within the foundation booth at the Mobile World Congress, bringing a diverse and multi-perspective experience to all attendees. And I say all attendees, so not only the people who came from the social economy sector, but vice versa, the day-to-day visitors at the Congress. So just to start the fireside chat, as an opening question, we are living in a world with climate and other societal pressures. Currently, half of the world in war and terrible things going on around the world. These pressures are accelerating structural changes in the global economy. I know that you all visited the Mobile World Congress. What signals from that event suggest that the tech industries are also adapting or, listening to this shift or aware of this shift? That's the first question. I don't know who wants to go first.
Maybe Marta, you want to start with this big question, trying to answer?
Yeah, sure. Of course. Yes. So, yeah, the world is changing. This has been a very big issue for us as Taula. I mean, each year we are like, very autocritical with ourselves. And we are also wondering, is this our space? Is this the place where we should be? Is the Mobile World Congress with Huawei at 2 meters the space where Taula del Tercer Sector, social economy, should be, with all the efforts that it costs? Is the impact great? And the answer is always yes, because so one of our greatest achievements, we think, from Taula point of view, has been to occupy these kind of spaces where historically the social sector, our values, our messages, our language, our perspective are not there. So like working in this kind of, I would say, robust system of alliances, we are now in those places. So all of these principles can be put just right in front of very different realities. No, so this is why we are with talks with the Mobile World Capital Foundation. We are also with talks with an organization called TIC Salut Social, which is linked to the health administration here in Catalonia and has also this booth in the Mobile World Congress. We are talking with private organizations like the company that is managing all the water in Barcelona, universities, etc. No, so this is important for us, because I don't know if we will make a change, a direct make of change. I don't know when this impact will be seen, if tomorrow, in 2 days, maybe in 10 years, but something is happening, because we are someone that was not there before. And only because of this is a kind of a start of a change. When you change one variable, I don't know if this is a correct word in English, sorry, Aneta, no, but when you change one part of the equation, then the result is different, So being in an environment that gravitates toward profit, toward, I don't know, hardware specs, toward technology, toward, economical alliances, and putting there ethics, accessibility, and rights protections for us, it means a really, really huge turnaround. Honestly, I don't know if someone else would like to, add something else to here. Sorry, I'm quite passionate this morning. I'm sorry.
And
Well,
that's
we
without
appreciate, I think.
drinking a coffee.
Exactly. That to point enough. No, for sure, I'm completely agree with Marta. But even as maybe some of you already know, I think it's not something that we already know. The social economy, even in Europe, is something that so many times and during the last years is look at some strange brother who is there doing stuff and doing things, but probably we are not even available to talk in the same terms as others, economic sector or producers of our society. So for sure, the answer for me is that the presence of the social economy organizations in spaces or events like Mobile World Congress is not an optional. It's an statement. We need to be there. We need to be there to make it visible that we are not just an alternative way of doing things. We are a necessity for all of them. Why? Because the social economy is a way of doing business, creating culture, generating new opportunities, even employment, or building new social transformation, healthy systems, even with innovation and in the tech areas too. So we need to keep our presence there to be the main actors talking about innovation, digital debates, as Marta says before, but maybe personal rights preference too. And for this reason, I think that European society cannot afford this kind of debates without our presence there. For sure, we need to be there to just say out loud that not just among ourselves or between colleagues or different organizations, we already are there to be listened. And this is the game changer that maybe being there and why not in Davos, for example, help us to realize and to demonstrate this reality. If we are not in these spaces, for sure, others will define what innovation means, what progress looks like, or who deserves and who knows. Our presence is advocacy. Our absence is surrealistic. Is a surrender for all of us. So yes, we need to be at Mobile World Congress, or maybe, as I said before, why not in Davos? But for sure at Brussels and other roundtables or spaces where the future is decided, just to be there and to make our opinion loud, for sure. And not just to be recognized as a fundamental pillar of European society, but just as another actor, main actor for sure. And the more of us to show up, our organizations, our federations, even our networks or our community or company values, the harder it becomes to ignore that we are for sure a good reality to show and to be explained to the others. So this is how a significant and grounding part of Europe, and the Impact is an example of that, choose to organize not just the economy, but it's care about our future, our values, and for sure the tech changes, but the social transformation, and for sure the new future. How to say it? Like it's called challenge, like the future and present challenge to be answered. It's not as passionate as Marta, but kind of less, more or less, it's the same purpose and motivation there.
No, I think the message is loud and clear, and I think our sector needs to feel empowered. And yeah, sometimes perhaps these topics are overwhelming, and we see ourselves as not experts in them. Often there's this role, no, that we are the activists, the critical ones of these big events, and we organize side events on the side. But actually, the message and the experience we had in Barcelona is like taking the main stage can actually be in an intelligent way really effective to make sure that the topics that need to be spoken about are spoken about, and that actually there is this two-way significant need, no, for collaboration and to ensure that there is responsible governance and kind of aligned values of social impact and public good embedded into the conversations that the mainstream companies and businesses are actually putting out there and transmitting. I'd like to move a little bit to this idea of, I mean, AI, we hear about AI all the time, but AI as a possible driver for systemic transformation. So rather than just a tool, how can it actually be a driver at this point by organizations like ours to actually, make some kind of change? So I guess this question is more directed at you, Joan, where in Utopiq, you've explored how AI is reshaping organizational practices and decision making. You in Barcelona, you talked us through the different stages of AI adoption. But what is your opinion in terms of this possibility for AI to actually be a driver of this kind of systemic transformation?
For sure, I think that for all the social economy organizations, or at least for the main of them, we already are used to make our own questions about even our own nature, values, or even activity. For sure, this approximation or this background give us a privilege in comparison between other companies or other productive sectors or even areas. What that means that, for example, we already are used to make difficult questions or maybe not comfortable ones. This approach gives us a very good perspective, to figure out or to debate how we can introduce tools like, for example, AI. These kind of questions, normally all the organizations are not ready to give an answer for them who know how to put the systems or the tools in our organization, in our works flows, or in our procedures. But in social economy organizations, we already are used to make these difficult questions before, so we already can answer them. This approximation, this start point of view, is giving us a privilege for cultural changes, for future challenges, and put these questions with all the capabilities of these new technologies as AI tools give us a very good perspective and even more value than other organizations to answer, and even to use them like in a very, I don't say better mood, but more challenging mood. For example, making approximations about ethical uses. We are already used to make this kind of questions about our procedures, our campaigns, our activities. So for sure, will be easier for us answer them in a critical or ethical point of view. So this question gives us a very good perspective to how to say, to put it in a good place or in the good place of society uses for AI tools or other kind of technologies that we can approach or even use in our organizations or way of work or culture. So I think that the organizations that will lead this change for sure will be the social economy, because we are not maybe the largest companies, but we are already the most trained companies doing difficult questions because we already know how to answer them and how to live with them. And this gives us a very good perspective and knowledge to affront them.
How would you suggest, or anybody who would like to contribute to answering this? We work with a lot of social economy SMEs, social economy enabling organizations. A lot of us are networks of social economy organizations in our local context or at European global level in the case of DIASIS network. How can these kind of organizations, which vary in size, vary in capabilities, in experience, how can organizations adopt AI responsibly while managing risks such as, I don't know, it's evident, no bias that can be created through AI, job displacement, and also I think power is an important topic, no, for this area of discussion. Like there's a lot of concentration of power when it comes to tech. We often think about, I don't know, the US, right? White community, I don't know. So all these topics that social economy is used to working with, what are some practical steps that social economy organizations can keep in mind to make sure that we are using technology and maybe specifically AI responsibly, being aware of these risks?
For sure, it's a good point of view. I think that for so many organizations that we are already adapted for European legacy framework or other kind of realities, we are already used to put them as a priority. So for us, it's a natural way of work. It's not something that sounds strange or make us some critical doubts or questions about our own organization or way of work. So in this case, we just need to keeping our way of decisions, our own culture of organization. So it's just try to adapt these new technologies, these new abilities, these new tools, keeping the key questions like this, I don't know, maybe the basic 4 questions. Is there personal or sensitive data involved? We already know because we already are asking these kind of questions when we write an email. So we already know that. Maybe could I affect person rights doing this action? We already are making these questions when we decide a new project or a new kind of activity. The third one, maybe does it automate a decision or directly or indirectly with this kind of tools or AI tools? So we are already preparing our point of view about this affectation to our colleagues or our users or wherever. Or maybe the fourth one, for example, is there a traceability of a human review of this kind of use or results or outputs? For sure, we always are there to point this critical view, this critical approximation, or even making difficult questions. So for us, I think that it's more regarding as a natural way of working, and we already adopted in other tasks, like for example, reading or writing an email, or even deciding which one will be the next project of our organization. So it just try to adapt at plus in our way of work with our relationships with other colleagues or maybe in our workflow of decisions. So it's not something very difficult for us, for social economy organizations or third sector entities. So it's just keeping our way of work, and for sure we are in the right side of the history.
Thanks, Joan. Everybody in the room with us today, I know we have some social economy organizations. If you would like to share your own personal experiences or challenges or questions around this topic, then please feel free to unmute yourselves and also contribute. One thing that's clear is technology is a tool that connects people, and we should be in power in the way it's shaped, right? It's challenging, but that's what we're trying to do. And this idea of partnerships, of connections, of interconnections, it's clear in the work that all of us do. It was clear in what Taula, the Tercer Sector, and the Spanish partners achieved going onto the main stage at the Mobile World Congress. Partnerships are super important, whether it's with the city council, whether it's with private institutions. I would like to just know what new partnerships. I mean, obviously, we work in partnerships all the time, but what kind of new partnerships or approach to partnerships between governments, companies, and the third sector are needed to shape this new economic paradigm? Maybe to Marta or Isabel.
Yeah, I will step in on that if you agree. So in terms of new partnerships, I can explain one good practices where we are, now currently doing here at Taula, which with the Catalan Digital Divide study that we published by the end of last year. So this is an example of this kind of collaboration you were mentioning now, Aneta. So we are working together with public administration, with the health department that are giving us some data in order to analyze the access to a health app that we have here in Catalunya. We are also in contact and in collaboration, which is not the same, with two big banks here in Catalonia, which also have app services, of course, online bank services. And then we are also working together with the university, with the Open University of Catalonia, that are analyzing all this data and how these data are connected and intersectioned from a social point of view. Okay, we are trying to create or to produce materials that gathers information from different areas that were not talking between them until now, and giving them this lens of social approach, and creating this kind of interoperable spaces, new relationships, new contexts, etc. We can kind of unlock predictive social action, I would say. Because when we are looking everything from a social lens, not from an economical lens, not from a political lens, from a social lens, then we can identify where exclusion lies, and this kind of breaches of exclusion, and this kind of spaces of exclusion can help reducing inequalities, because if the administration is part of it, if the private enterprises kindly are part of it, the message is spread wider. So we think that generating spaces, also what we were mentioning before, with these new partnerships, new alliances, also new ideas, because we have our ideas, but maybe, contrasting ideas with other people that think about things in another completely diverse or different way than you are, pushes you to think more about what you're doing and how you're doing it, and the best way, to spread your values, right? Because maybe, a little bit of autocriticism is always welcome. So we actually, from Taula, we think that transmitting this kind of commitment to protect rights is the most powerful tool for progress that we have ever known by now. And we think that this is what we can offer in this historical moment now.
Thank you, Marta. Well, we still have the actual deep dive into the best practice. Maybe in just one word from you three, beyond productivity gains, then I hear that one transformative, societal impact that AI can have is reduce inequality. Is there anything else that you would highlight over the next 5-10 years? What is this potential of AI to do, apart from overwhelm us sometimes with the amount of tools that are out there? What other things can AI actually do in terms of transforming society? And that's a big question. We can also link it actually to the presentation that Joan, you were going to give. Yeah.
No, that for sure. I think that maybe taking out your question, probably in this context where everyone has all the capabilities to make all kind of decisions or think all kind of situations with AI tools, for example, we think that the different value will continue to be the values, the proposed, the human criteria. So maybe this is the key factor or differential element for the next years.
And I'm going to move on with the slide so that you can give us a bit of a deep dive into what Utopiq is and what you do and yeah. So over to you for the last part.
Perfect. Thank you, Neta, then, for this introduction and all the organizations for this DO Impact deep dive. As you can see, what you see on the screen is the title of this presentation, but that it's at its core a question regarding to this digital social debate, as Marta says, or maybe Aneta makes the question right now. AI and the European social economy, are we in the right place and the right time to get this right? I think, or our answer is yes, but it depends of all us, of all of us. So I will try to be very fast to just make a presentation about this plan, these 4 blocks that we will say. First of all, let's start about the beginning. Who is Utopiq and why we trust what we say about AI? The short answer is because we are not just a tech company. Okay, we are a communications and consulting agency that was learned to use technology in service of real social changes. Utopiq grows out of Carmina, the Barcelona communications agency we founded over 15 years ago. If you want Anita to put the next page, it's because I will try to be faster, and like this we can make some space and criteria for the debate. So 15 years working in a marketing, advertising, communications strategy for companies, but even institutions and for sure third sector organizations. This is 15 years understanding how communications and declaration, crisis, criteria, or challenges are working, and for sure how it's working, the power, this key tool, this key resource that all of us, we want to take it down and domain. So with Utopiq, we have taken a step forward. We apply all this experience to these 3 main challenges that we pronounce in our time: the climate emergency, these new governance models, and for sure the technical revolution. Okay, AI is the flagship of this transformation, and we are inventing it. So we are trying to make these 3 transformations in a collaborative way. Okay, the first is the climate emergency. As you can see, and all of you knows, this is not just a future risk, it's already a present, already an impact with human beings, cost, values, economy, regulation, expectations, and all this, etc. The second, for sure, is this new governance, the European Union with the right EA Act, for example, or the protection for personal data. It's the way the decisions are made and who is accountable. So we put this kind of criteria with this new governance and these new limits for all of us. It's being redefined legally and culturally. So this is for sure important. And the third one, for sure, is the technological revolution with AI at its center. Not just as a tool, it's not just as a technology. This is not just an optimization, it's a new cognitive cultural level. So we need to understand, right, to put it in all of our decisions, corners, or even in all our considerations. So the pivotal moment that we are living together, we already talked about them in Barcelona, but it's for sure this technological change versus cultural change. For example, we are all try always to make a comparison between the printing press and what it means, and with the AI and this kind of eruption to make some comparison and even put it some context. Gutenberg Press did not simply make books faster, okay? It changed who had access to knowledge in a democratization way. It made literacy possible. So just make modern science, the institutions will be live in today. Like we put some tool at service as knowledge, so we can use it right. And we are living through some similar moments. Why? Because the visible AI, for sure, are chatbots, are some content generated by these schools, but the invisible AI is the one that really matters. What it means? is who builds knowledge, is who keep this way of decisions, is who put their criteria to serve other proposals. And this is when we need to explain and we need to be there. Because if we are not there, for sure, will be other companies and other criteria who are putting down there. Okay. These 4 big changes, they're great for systematic changes, are this perfect context to make some new era with post-Google era that, for example, we already explained. No, we are not just using Google as before. We are already using these AI tools to looking for some information. So we already put some agent who is deciding by us what we need to answer and in which way we answer them. For sure, we introduce this multi-format. It's not just one answer. It's not just knowledge in one way of understanding. We are already, for example, putting some audiovisual content, some images, diagrams, even podcast. We can practically make everything. So we need to focus on the big question. It's what, not how. This changing, no, this role is already changed. For sure, the hypermodality, we already know them through ChatGPT or Gemini, no? We already have voice, images, videos, description, metadata. There are a lot of things that we can put it in different ways. So we for sure can explain something in a multi-format, but even in a hypermodality, we are consuming all this information through the train, through the bus, through the car, even walking, or through the glasses. Yeah, not just through the desktop or mobile. So we are already new tools there to consume all this information and even dialogate with them. And for sure, this is going through the hyper-personalization that it makes the answers hyper and adaptable completely to each reality. So we already have a lot of resources there. For sure, this is a unique opportunity, not just for the social economy, sure, but I think, and from Utopiq, we consider that is the best option for us because we are already working in this kind of added or main criteria that it's human beings, its values, it's proposed. So we need to make sure we put this combination of tools, these tech changes in service on our propose, our activities, and what we can do, and for sure, what we want. What we bring, we put it some critical thinking and ethical values to these tools. For sure, we can improve them. And believe me, before that, Aneta was making these questions and this relation between the collaboration between private or public sectors. We already know that, for example, the private sector or public administrations know that the talent and the experience that we have as a non-profit entity to adapt for themselves or for us to adapt to changing contexts full of challenge or social transformation. So this massive cultural change that we are experiencing makes them see us as an interesting actor. So they see us as something attractive to put our knowledge to give them these different values and approximations. So for sure, these entities have experience with people, with values, and in contexts where everyone has all the capabilities to make these kind of content, decisions, or strategies, for sure, the different values will continue to be human beings, propose, ethical morale. So for sure, we put all these elements that deep over knowledge, trust, and human relations, and for sure, leave it of experience and context to improve this kind of tools. And for last, and I'm going very fast, for sure, the cultural shift. I want to underline something that often goes unnoticed, and for us is very key element. AI is not primarily a technological change, it's a cultural change. What it means that these new technologies brings us a challenge who we communicate in a multimodal way, hyper-personalized way, but even instant, even focus on main or different values, different issues. So we need to be training using this kind of tools to improve our message, our way of work, etc. So for sure, we will create new ways of communicating or new ways of knowing or new power dynamics. And in this context, for sure, is obviously necessary put our knowledge there, not just to put it some values, but even to use this kind of tools in a ethical way, we can say like that. And for sure, there are lights and shadows in this use, no? I'm strong advocate for AI in the social sector, but not for a naive use. That means that the lights are real, for sure. We can multiply the capabilities of small teams with limited resources. We already know these kind of realities. Enables multilingual models, for example, no more accessible communication, even at escalation level, accelerate research or reporting and grant writing, no, for make some new projects or wherever we need, and even supports data analysis for evidence-based advocacy, no? We already know how to make some good decisions in a long-term vision, for example. But the shadows are equally real and are equally there. For example, hallucinations and misinformation, AI presence errors currently and confidentially. So we need to be afraid of that. We need to use with them, to deal with them, to make the correct questions to all of these results, outputs that we already receive. For sure, there are bias in data. That means that EA reproduce and can employ these existing inequalities or these existing bias in our criteria or in our past decisions. Even for sure, legal query or copywriting terms, we need to be there to be sure that we are using correctly. There are a lot of work done there, thanks to the European Commission and European Parliament with RIA, but for sure, all the states need to be focused on there and need to start making some detailed regulations about the uses and the provisions of this kind of tools. And for sure, this dependency and loss of critical thinking capabilities. We are here not just to transform or present this kind of criteria. We need to put together with the AI. Okay, so for sure that means these very important 4 questions that I was talking before. We have here, no, for sure. Is there personal or sensitive data involved? We already know. So if yes, apply the actual and current normative about data protection. So it's not a problem. Other question, could it affect a person's rights? We need to be sure that EAI must not AI, cannot affect to the decisions that we take regarding personal situations, access to these our activities that we are making of or services that we are offering. So we need to be sure about that. Does it automate the decisions directly or indirectly? So we need to think. Okay, I'm going very, very fast, sorry. And the last one, for sure, if there is traceability and human review with all these documents or decisions that we are taking in our perspective, sorry. And for sure, why we must lead this change, this transformation, if not us, who? We already have experience in a legal terms, in a critical decisions, and in an ethical area. So for sure is something like we cannot afford. We need to be there. If not us, who will be there? Who will be in charge of these new tools? So this is our approximation and for sure our position from Utopiq. I don't know, maybe you want, Anita, you can put the last one or letting there. So for sure, I want to close with a very simple idea. AI is a new infrastructure of knowledge, like roads, like internet, or even the telephone, but it's neither good or bad by itself. It depends of who builds and who uses. For this reason, the social economy entities or organizations need to be there to put it in a good way of service, in a good way of work, and in a good way of propose.
Thank you so much, Joan. And I love the way that you say that you are part of the social economy. So in a way, your agency doesn't just work with the social economy sector, but you're so embedded and so passionate about it that you consider yourself part of the sector, which
is something that once you already know, it's impossible to make you indifferent. So for sure, we are all together in this side.
We're running out of time a little bit. There's a question if we're going to share the slides. Yeah, Massimo, after each session online on the website, all the materials available. So that's a yes to that question. I would like to just, if this works, highlight, that we've got 2 more events currently open, and if you visit the Do Impact website, you can sign up for our next transnational workshops. There is an online event happening on the 29th of April using data to tell a digital impact story. The details are here. I'm going to send the link to our page as well into the chat. And you have direct links to parts of the learning journey that is still open. And on the 18th to 19th of May, we have an in-person workshop in Gothenburg in Sweden. We actually also have the local organizer joining us today. Diana, I don't know if you want to say a few words, but the call is still open, so feel free to apply if you're interested. And then the learning journey will end with an in-person event in Brussels, 7th to 8th July. So we still have some months of Do Impact activity. These deep dives are going to continue. We still have a few more, and they will be happening on a monthly basis. So keep tuned. And with that, I would really like to thank you, Marta, Isabel, and Joan. If there are any questions also from the audience or any last comments, please feel free.
Maybe, Aneta, sorry, I would like to add that now we were talking about artificial intelligence, AI, for good or bad, that we have an upcoming session the 15th, so next week, next Wednesday, it's online. This is a local workshop that we have in Spain. And in this session, we will explore what responsible AI truly means and how these social economy organizations can integrate it in an ethical way following their values, no? So yeah, that's
it's
going
this
to
one
happen. Not this one. If you go a little bit down, responsible artificial intelligence, the 15th of April. You missed it. Up to the left. This one, yeah.
So I'm going to put that in the chat as well. If anybody's interested, you can
Just
sign up.
Reminder that this is local workshop, so this is in Spanish language. Okay.
Diana, you have your hand up, please.
Yes, I just wanted to have an extra advertising because besides the fact that we're putting up a really interesting program for the workshop in Gothenburg in Sweden, I also like to say that actually May and June are the best months to visit Sweden and the archipelago on the west coast. So please do come to Gothenburg and please take some extra days if you have the possibility because there are nice things to do.
Super. Thank you very much. And with that, I end the deep dive and we'll be in touch with all of you separately. Thank you. Have a nice
Thank you very much for anything.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye
Bye.
bye.
Thank you to all of you.